Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy. Okay. Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, for another day of fighting fantasy frolics and fun as we go onto the high seas for some high adventure and a bit of pirating in the Seas of Blood. Yes, this is Fighting Fantasy Gamebook number 16, which is, as far as I know, the only properly pirate-themed book in the series. And, excuse me, early morning throat dryness. Sorry about that. And in this one, unusually, you're trying to become the king of the pirates. Yes, you're not trying to get rid of the evildoers, to save the world or anything like that. No, you're actually being completely selfish, and greedy and ruthless and trying to become the best pirate. Very different. This didn't quite resonate with me when I was the age that I could play it, or I can play it now. The age that I did play play it a little bit when I was young, I didn't really resonate with me, this one. I much prefer the other ones where you are an adventurer that's going around killing monsters and trying to save the world from evil. That's more what appeals to me. But then again, this is also interesting because the thing is, I view these books so differently now than I did when I was young and played them for the first time, and I have more patience for them now as well, actually, than I did back then. This one, I had the Commodore 64 computer game as well of the Seas of Blood, which was, I don't know, I never really got into it because it seemed a little bit, when you start out, you have lots of areas that look exactly the same, so you go sort of north, south, east, west, and it's just very samey. And I just got a bit bored with it, to be honest. So, excuse me. So I think this is going to be more interesting than that. So, without too much further ado, I think I should get started getting this show on the road, so to speak. And today I've also got some new dice. I bought some new dice for the first time in draw the 12. I'm not sure that's a good thing. Perhaps best to get it out of the way, unless it's for making abilities, but in a combat that can be quite... Okay, so I probably haven't bought any dice since, and I'm trying to remember how old would I have been now, so maybe in 30 years, perhaps, since last time I bought any dice. And since I only really had 2 dice that I really liked using for these playthroughs, I thought I'd buy some more similar ones, and I quite like the style of these ones. They look a bit like sort of semi-translucent, almost a sort of a blood effect going on, which is quite nice. I also bought, let's see here, some real brass dice. The only thing about these is I think the edges, the corners are a bit on the sharp side, so they don't roll so much. So you have to make sure you roll them in the hand or in the air. Also, they're not as easy to see as the other ones because they're a little bit on the small side. Also, which I quite like, are these ones, which are made out of real jasper. So they're real semi-precious stones. Quite nice. I quite like the coloring and pattern of these. I did get some with eyes on them as well, but I think I prefer the numbers, to be honest. And these are quite nice too. And of course, when they clink together, they sound like stone. And these ones sound like sort of resin, plastic sound. So it's a different sound. But for now, I think I'm going to use these. I think they appeal to me the most. And I'll keep the other ones on standby for other occasions. And I got my tea today, which it sounds like I need because my throat is a little bit rusty this early in the morning. So yeah, let's get started. I'm almost done with my tea, by the way. And as you can see, it's soon time to bleach the cup again. So, but luckily I know how to do that because I made a tutorial on how to remove tea stains from a mug. I'll put the link up here. I'll also put the link where I actually did an unboxing video of my dice, so I can put a link to that as well somewhere up here. I'm not sure how long I have to wait now before the other link disappears, and I'll get started. Okay, so what's going on in this book? Let's find out. And this is written by Andrew Chapman and illustrated by Bob Harvey. I really like the cover, actually. It looks like something out of the Odyssey. I mean, the boat as well there is what looks like a Greek galley, actually. Right. So let's find out what I need. Some special things on my character sheet for this, I presume. So there is crew as well as yes. So crew. So crew's got their own sort of skill score. It's called crew strike. So C strike. 1 die plus 6. I'm re-rolling ones now. I think just yeah. Okay. Crew strength, which is a sort of the stamina. You really shouldn't mix up the word strength with stamina, I think, because they're so different things. But 6, so that's 18. Yeah, that's all right. No, hang on. It's 2 dice plus 6, so it is 12. Okay, that's all right. And my ship is called the Banshee. Nice name for a ship, I think. Okay. If crew strength goes to 0, then both you and your crew has been wiped out. Okay, and then we got my own abilities. So I got skill. Oh. New dice. I make interesting rolls. It's highs and lows. Let's see, stamina and luck. So stamina 21, luck also 12. Okay, a lot of 12s. Just checking if we're recording properly. There we are. Okay. So using luck, test your luck, individual combat. Your standard large scale battles. That's where sort of your ship score comes in. But it looks like it actually the ship-to-ship combat is exactly the same as normal combat, except you use the crew strike instead of skill, it looks like. So yeah, so there's no special rules really for that. Your log records how long you have been traveling. Ah yes, because now this is a timed competition in a way, because you're trying to become the king of the pirates, but you're competing against someone to become the king of the pirates. And you have limited time. So one has to make a note of time progressing in this one, which is an interesting new mechanic that I'm keen to see how that works when you play it properly, which I didn't do back in the day. Oh, that's an interesting one. For every day that you add to your log, you will be able to recover 1 point of stamina. So it is possible to actually heal in this game. That's an interesting one. You start the game with 20 gold pieces. That should really go up quite a bit. As we go along. The map. Okay, so we got a map here. This is where we're traveling. We're starting in Tak, I presume up here. How is the focus now? Is it right? Yeah, it looks all right. Okay. And then I don't know where the best loot is, because I haven't played this enough to remember any of those things. But this is the Inland Sea, Southern Sea, and I'll have a look at the map as I'm playing, I think. Right, so here we are, introduction. And this one is called The Wager. So, the city of Tak at the northern end of the inland sea is the greatest den of thieves, criminals, and cutthroats the civilized world has ever seen. So that's even more so than Port Blacksand, which means it must be pretty bad. Every form of vice and illicit activity is not only permitted, but even encouraged in this city of scum. This, your hometown, is where your adventure begins. So yeah, so it's full of vice and illicit activity and scum and thieves and criminals, but hey, so... Of the numerous pirates drawn to Tak, you and Abdul the Butcher are recognized by all as being the kings in daring and greed. However, neither of you are particularly wealthy, as your love of gambling consumes all the riches that you bring back from your journeys against the enemy cities of Lagash, Marad, and Kish. The infamy that the two of you have bred is also the source of a great rivalry. You each try to outdo the other in increasingly dangerous but breathtakingly successful raids. Your goal, the title of King of Pirates, the sacker of cities, which is never bequeathed but only earned. One evening, while dicing against each other in one of Tak's gambling pits, I suppose if you gamble against each other all the time, you wouldn't both lose all your money? Only one of you would. But if you're both really terrible at losing money, if you both gamble each other, you'd probably still end up with the same amount of money at the end. So that's probably a good idea, isn't it? To always just gamble each other. Anyway. Somebody suggests that the two of you should have a contest to determine once and for all who is the greatest pirate. The idea appeals instantly to your audacious spirits. Yes, says Abdul, let us have a race of speed and treasure. You agree upon the terms of the contest. Each will take only one ship, and, sailing from Tak on an appointed day, will head for the distant isle of Nippur, which lies deep in the great southern sea. The journey must be completed within 50 days, and at the end, whoever has the greatest amount of gold wins the bet. So we're only going one way, not going back to Tak. I was wondering about that for a moment. With shaking of hands all round and much toasting, the deal is sealed. Your journey is about to begin. Turn over. And I must actually say it's quite a well-written introductory background, I think, as well. Right. Of course, when I was reading these books the first time in the 80s, my English wasn't that great. I mean, I'd only started learning it 1 or 2 years before. So, or 2 to 3 years before, really. And so I probably wasn't that appreciative of the language, and indeed some words would also have been unknown to me. But I would usually get get it from the context what it meant, and sometimes I would probably learn new words as well from reading these books, which is one of those things that I think is it's good for you if you're learning a language. One of the first things you should do really is to you should try to talk to yourself in that language. You should try to think in that language, even if you don't have many words to think with, and you should, as quickly as possible, try to read in the language as well. And it also helps to listen to the language, and of course, first of all, sort of children's TV, cartoons and whatnot are great to start with. Those things certainly helped me when I was learning English. So, right. Paragraph 1, yes. So, on the day appointed for the beginning of the race, you take the Banshee out of the towering granite bay of Tak and into the inland sea. Abdul the Butcher's Havildar cuts quietly through the water beside you. Far to the east is the hostile but rich port of Lagash. To the west is the Sidra desert, I think I'll go with Sidra, across which the caravan routes to the cities of Kish, Kala, and Asur run. To the south is the mountainous isle of Enraki. Will you head towards Lagash for a dangerous but daring raid against its coastal shipping? Travel to the Sidra desert to plunder the rich western caravans, or patrol the inland sea via the Isle of Enraki? Right. Choices already. So let's start a new map. Always exciting to start a new map. I mean, look at this. It is a sheet full of opportunity, danger, and peril alike, and gold and treasure as well. Okay, let's find out. And of course, instant death, not least. Right, so number 1 here we have 55. I'll just do them up like so. I really should try to space out my maps better so I don't get into trouble like I've done in so many of these playthroughs when there's no space to add things. Because I never know when I start playing a game how convoluted the map is going to be. So I really should accommodate any possibilities. And I do have lots of paper because I'll show you actually. Because I was using so much of the squared paper that I bought a pack. Because it's so much cheaper to buy a whole pack of 10? Pack of 10 than it is to buy just 3, I think, or 4. So, yeah. So, yes. I'm prepared to create a map that is long and spacious rather than one that is cramped. But I'm used to making the cramped ones now, so I'll probably end up doing that accidentally anyway. Okay, so we got 55, 20, and 76. So we have Lagash, Sidra, Endraki. I'll put Endraki there. I wanted to start with patrolling the inland sea via the Isle of Endraki, I think. Try that for my first playthrough. I'm sure I'll have to do this again a few times, which is part of the fun. Okay. The Banshee sails out into the inland sea. Roll 3 dice. Oh. I don't often roll 3 dice in this game. If the result is less than your crew strength, add 4 days to your log. Okay, so now it's a test of crew strength, really. Okay. So we have here test crew strength. So if you manage to do the test, you add 4 days to the log. If it's equal to or greater than the crew strength, you add 5 days to the log. So it's about how well your crew are doing sailing the ship, which is quite a good mechanic, I think. I'll make a sort of log down here. Log, so 4 days. I wonder what it said about the regaining stamina now. I just have to look just to be sure. Is it per day, is it? For every day that you add to your log, you will be able to recover 1 point of stamina. But not crew strength. So crew strength is, because it's also to do with the number of crew, I presume. So when somebody dies in the crew, that's when crew strength goes down, rather than the crew being injured as such. Right. Right. Presently, you arrive off the northernmost tip of the mountainous Isle of Vendraki, home of the warrior priest of Asur del Dablo, or something like that. Asur del Dablo. These fearsome holy men, armed by the gods of war and protected by the gods of stone, reside in a fortress raised on the lower slopes of the island's precipitous central snow-capped mountain. They are very rich. You have 3 options to deprive them of this wealth. Okay. A direct assault on the fortress, gaining entry to the fortress via a deception of some kind, then pilfering what you can, or finding a way over the mountains behind the castle so as to assault the most probably lightly defended rear. Okay, so interesting options all, I guess. I'm not very experienced. Actually, now that I'm playing this game now, I think I had the book, but I never actually played it. I can't remember these options so much. I think it's one of the ones that just remained on my bookshelf at the expense of others, because I think the general idea of it didn't appeal so much. And so I'd rather, when I played my fighting fantasy books, I'd sort of rather go for something that was more that sort of high fantasy adventurer, lone adventurer, looking for treasure and monsters and evil wizards and stuff kind of thing. So I think this one just remained on my shelf. So yeah. Anyway, right. So I have to choose between those three options. I'll just put them up here. Do like so, maybe. So that's just 4, 5, just to put in the log days, L:4/5. Okay, I'll know what that means maybe. So a direct assault, 2, 3, 1, direct. Of course, I do have good skill now, so a direct assault might actually be worth it. Because sometimes in these books, a different approach seems to make sense depending on your abilities as well. I mean, there may be an optimum path, but there might also be an optimum path depending on your initial scores as well. So if you have a really good skill and crew strike as I do, then maybe it's worth trying the tough approach. Let's see. Deception and over mountains, 188. Over mountains, of course, I presume has its own risks, but will it also have its own rewards? I mean, in terms of things you might find along the way, I don't know. You know what? I'm going to go with a direct assault straight on them, on the fortress this time, because I think I've got the numbers for it. Even though my crew strength isn't that great. So, direct assault, here we are. And I'm getting really thirsty. Hang on. Because I haven't had my rum ration today, I think. I mean, your pirates always need a good rum ration. Yeah. Dropping anchor in a bay 10 miles from the fort, you proceed ashore with your entire crew, each man heavily armed and most bearing grappling irons or ladders. When you arrive at the castle, you see that the stone walls are about 20 feet high, while the main gates are solid iron and flanked by 2 tall towers. Will you launch your assault over the walls? Well, we got the equipment for it, by the sound of it. Or through the gates. Okay. So we have here... Excuse me. Walls or gates. I'm going to go for the walls because I've got all sort of climbing equipment. Everyone's got climbing stuff with them. At your signal, your men charge one of the walls with a mighty roar. Suddenly, men armed with spears and bows appear on the parapets and open fire. You can't open fire with bows, really. It's, yeah. Your crew cast their grapples and place their ladders and climb towards the defenders. The battle has begun. The word fire used with archery is sort of new invention, really. That's really from Hollywood. When you fire arrows, you don't say fire. You loose arrows. You don't fire arrows, technically. Anyway, fire, that's a post-gun term. Right. That's quite tough. They got strike 11, and I don't have much. I don't really have an advantage because I got strength 16 as well. I think this may have been a stupid idea. Unless I'm really lucky with the dice rolls now. Okay, so so I've got 12, and they've got 11, 16. Ooh. May need to use some luck in this one. Okay. I can still use luck in, I presume, in the crew combat, surely. Just double check that. Hang on, it's a no luck in combat. There is no using luck in combat in this one. There certainly isn't any rule about it. Okay, it doesn't say anything about using luck in combat, and therefore I will presume that you can't use luck in combat in this one. Okay, so this is all I got. Right, the priests. Roll 8. I roll 7. That's a draw. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. Yes, it is a draw. I got one advantage on my... Okay, so they roll 4. I roll 7. Okay, so they are down to 14. They roll 9. I roll 8. That's a draw again. Ooh. They roll 10. I roll 5. We are down to 10. They roll 8. I roll 8. They roll 2. Aha. Arr. Okay. They roll 7. I roll 10. Got the upper hand now. Roll 7. I roll 7. Yes. They roll 6. I roll 5. That's a draw again. I mean, if I had anything less than 12 strength now, I would have been in trouble. I roll 11. I roll 10. Draw. I've never had so many draws in one battle before. 7 and 10. Yeah. 8 and 7. 7 and 2. Okay, I'm down to 8. 9 and 5. Oh dear. 9 and 9. Okay, and finally, perhaps this might be the last round. 5 versus 9, and the priests are dead, and that was probably not a good idea. But there you go. So I've got 6 crew strength left. I need to replenish my crew. I mean, sure, there's some ways we can do that, I guess. Right. So this was, let's see, 11-16, and we win after a long and hard battle, and we go to 274. And there's no way I could have done that with anything less than 12 crew strike. With the defeat of the priests, your over-exuberant crew set fire to the temple part of the castle. The blaze destroys most of the booty that you might have claimed as victors. Searching around, however, you managed to find 85 gold pieces and 10 surviving priests to sell as slaves. Okay, so gold is up to 105, and also we got slaves 10. You return triumphant to the Banshee and set sail down the coast of Enraki. Turn to 123. Okay, so let's move that up there. So we got 85 gold pieces and 10 SL for slaves. And 123. Okay. The Banshee is sailing just off the southernmost tip of Enraki. Apart from this island, the horizon is clear, with neither ships nor clouds visible. The main trade routes between Kish and the eastern rim lie to the south, between Enraki and the shoals of Trista. You could patrol this stretch in search of rich merchantmen, or if your crew have suffered casualties, you could sail to the neutral city of Asur to recruit some more men. That's probably a good idea. Alternatively, if you're feeling lucky, you could try your fortune in the gambling pits of Kalah. Turn to 211 or proceed to the eastern rim for a bit of coastal raiding. I think I need to replenish my crew a little bit. Obviously, you can sort of gather gold and treasure more efficiently if you don't lose too much crew, I presume. But it probably is a good idea to do that now. Okay, so we have options 1, 2, 3, 4 options actually. Let's do it like so. So let's put in FF, this is 16, isn't it? Yeah, FF16. So 197, East Coast. to 11. Kala, possibly. Sort of slightly Arabic names here, isn't it? So Kala, I suppose. 171. Asur. 381. I suppose just Trista there. Okay, so I'm going to go to Asur to see if I can get some more crew strength. You head for the neutral city of Asur, the Banshee ploughing steadily through the still waters of the inland sea. Roll 3 dice. Okay. And I'm testing crew strength again, which is only 6. This could take a while. Okay, so test crew strength. Yeah, I was over by far. Which means it takes, so log 5, 6, and it took me 6 days. So I'm up to day 10. And if your log is an odd number, turn to 376. If your log is an even number, turn to 357. I like that mechanic as well. That is very nice, very nice. Different things happening on odd or even days. Lovely. Okay, 357, 376. Okay, so that is L odd, L even. I'm on even, so that is 357. When you're only a day's sailing from Asur, your lookout spots a speck on the horizon ahead. It grows into a sail and then a ship, sharp prow and triangular canvas bearing down on you with speed. A battle banner flutters from the mainmast. It is a Kishian warship. You pull about in an attempt to evade, but the cutter has the wind and the speed to bring it alongside the Banshee. Grappling irons and arrows fly, troops ready to board. You will have to fight. If you want to escape, remember the penalty and turn to 241. What is the... did it say anything about escaping here? Escape, escape. If your crew have inflicted damage upon your opponent and the option of escaping is given, then you may escape. And then you lose 2 strength. Okay, so that's so when it says you can escape, you can escape and you lose 2 extra when you do. But you have to actually hit them first, which I think is good as a requirement. You can't just escape even if you're being beaten completely. Right, so this is 10-8. And there are 2 options there, which is 2-2 fight and 2-4-1 escape. Yeah, definitely have to hit them first, didn't you? Yes. Okay. So, 10-8, and I've got 12-6. This could go either way, really. So I do have a 2 advantage on my strike. So, let's see. They roll 11. Oof. And I roll 8. Okay. So escaping is not an option. They roll 4. I roll 5. Okay. Now escaping is an option. Should I escape? Because I probably should escape. So I'm going to escape now, which means I lose 2 more of my crew strength. But I'm on my way to replenish anyway. And I'll live to fight another day because I will not get another chance to escape, probably. So I'm escaping and I go to 241. Oh. Several of your crew managed to slash the warship's rigging, while the rest cut the Banshee free from the grappling irons, all the while fighting a rearguard action against the Marines. The Banshee heels about, catches the wind, and races away, leaving the Kishian vessel in a state of confusion. The route to Assur has been cut off, so you head southeast into the inland sea. Turn to 318. Okay, that is not ideal, because now I don't get to replenish my crew. I go here instead, which is where you'd go to see if you could find any merchantmen. Okay. The Banshee cuts through the quiet waters of the inland sea. You look out, keep a continuous watch on the clear horizon for any sign of shipping. Roll 3 dice, and that is a crew strength test again. Because our crew strength now is 2. There's no way I can do that on 3 dice, but I have to roll anyway. So it's 4 or 5 days, so log for 5. So now I'm up to day 15, and I'm almost completely lost my crew. If your log is an even number, okay, so we got that again. So we have 3, 6, 3. That is even, or 2, 9, 4, odd. So that's even, odd. Okay, so we now got 15 days, which means we are on an odd number, and we go to 294. The square rig and white hull of a merchantman appear on the horizon. It is a large vessel, heavily laden and possibly well armed, ploughing its way west from the eastern rim to the city of Kish. Will you attack the ship, or leave it be and continue patrolling, looking for something a bit smaller? I'd much rather try to go somewhere else, but if those are the options, I'm pretty much screwed, I think. I just can't see how I can get out of this now, because I need more crew strength. There's no way I can get anywhere now without more crew strength. Maybe I should just attack it just to get it out of the way and get me out of my misery. So 66, patrol on, or 391, attack. I think I'll patrol on a little bit and see if I find something smaller, so that I've got a slim chance of actually making it. The Banshee plows on towards the shoals of Trista. Roll 3 dice. And add 4 days to your log, or 5 days if you roll higher than, so 20 days now. As you near the treacherous reefs off the island of Trista, a vicious squall starts up from the north and looks as if it might turn into a major storm. Would you run with the storm by heading south, or tack north into the wind to sit out the foul weather? Okay. Okay, let's do them like that. So 142, sit out, or 103 with storm. I'm going to go with the storm, 103. The wind picks up, howling menacingly through the Banshee's rigging and driving the rain that starts to fall like needles on your crew. The ship crashes its way through the heavy seas. Test your luck. And I roll a 9, and I am lucky. Down to 11. Okay. So we have here test luck. And then we have 3172. Unlucky. 13. Lucky 13, indeed. After harrowing you for a day, the seas and wind abate. The skies begin to clear. Before you on the horizon is the island of Trista. So the storm has carried you over and past the treacherous shoals. By some stroke of good fortune, the Banshee escaped destruction. Will you land on the island ahead, sail southeast towards the Channel of Goth, or sail southwest either towards Kish or the Rock? So, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 options. So we do 1, 2, 3, and 4 options. So that's 152 island, 191 towards the Channel of Goth, and 223 towards Kish, 27 to the Rock. I will land on the island. See if there's anything going on there. Add 1 day to your log. 21. You heave to in a sheltered cove on the north coast. Disembarking with your crew, you proceed inland, crossing wide, carefully tended fields. In one of these, you come upon a large herd of cattle quietly grazing on thick clover. Your crew suggests that, as the Banshee is running low on provisions, they should slaughter some of the cattle for later use. As the fields are devoid of human life, will you give your crew the go-ahead to steal the cattle, or refuse and continue to explore the island? Right. I think I'll move up here somewhere. So we got here. What do you want? Cattle. Is the great to steal the cattle? I'm going to refuse and see if there are any other opportunities here that are worth exploring that might have been jeopardized if I steal the cattle. As you march cross country, a large body of heavily armed cavalry appears over a rise in front. They dispatch a herald towards you who says, "Adventurers, know that you are in the land of the King of the Four Winds, and that His Majesty requests the pleasure of your company at his table. Will you follow the herald towards the cavalry and then presumably to the king, or return to your ship?" I will follow him. I'm quite sure. I presume if he stole the cattle, this is where you would have been killed by the soldiers instead of being invited for dinner, maybe. So 176, return and follow. So I'm going to follow him to the king, presumably. The cavalry lead you to an impressive castle, bedecked with banners and guarded by hundreds of men-at-arms. Revelries are in progress in the central courtyard. Leaving your crew here to partake of the wine and song, you are conducted into the main feast hall, where the King of the Four Winds sits among his retainers and courtiers. With a welcoming gesture, the king bids you be seated only a few places from his throne. Wow. How generous of him. He engages you in a rather loud conversation as the feast hall is noisy with the festivities, about the weather and your journey. Will you tell the king about the true nature of your trip, or not? Right. $260 or 312. So truth or lie? I'm going to tell him the truth, actually. Yeah. I'm after all an honest pirate. Ah, yes, says the king. Abdul the Butcher and his men, I remember them well, as they were here but 3 days ago. Very poor table manners, but a lively wit. The king waves a servant over, whispers in his ear and sends him away. When the servant returns, he is bearing 2 very large sacks. These, says the king, contains the north and south winds, as I gave the east and west winds to Abdul. I think it only fair I should give these to you. Open the bag containing the north wind on your journey to Nippur, and open the other bag when you wish to return. At the end of the feast, you gather your men and prepare to return to the Banshee. Okay, so I've got now the the north and the south north and the south wind. So I've got the north wind, north and south wind in the bag. Your crew are excuse me. Your crew are intensely interested in the sacks and don't believe you when you tell them that they contain only air. We believe the king has filled them with treasure and that you are simply being greedy. Share it with us, they say, or we won't go on. You'll stay here. You can't open the sacks now, so will you give your crew 100 gold pieces to keep them quiet? Or simply insist to them that they are being stupid not to believe you? Well, they are being stupid. And 100 gold pieces, that's almost all I got. Ugh. My crew, of course, currently consisting of probably 2 people or something. Okay, so. So 368, 100 gold pieces, or 396. 96. Stupid. They are being stupid. I'm going to tell them they're stupid. After giving them a bit of verbal abuse, they mutter into their beards and look down on the ground, humiliated. Discipline has been restored. Turn to 312. Yeah, you don't talk to your captain like that. Okay. So, then you get sacks of wind. Okay, so that means that is a correct and good. Those 2, if you get to this point, those 2 things are the correct path. That's good to know. Getting a bit sniffly today. It's the weather again. Okay. With the feast over, the king bids you farewell. You return to the Banshee and leave the cove where you were anchored. If you were given the sacks containing the north and south winds, then from now on, whenever you are instructed to roll 3 dice and to compare the result with your crew strength, deduct 4 points from the result of the dice roll. Oh, I see. So -4 on crew strength rolled. Well, not much good that will do me at the moment. Which way will you head? Southeast towards the Channel of Goth or southwest towards Rock? Okay. That is 27 or 191. Okay, so that are those options down here. Let's go towards the Channel of Goth. You steer wide of the hostile city of Marad. Roll 3 dice. Okay. 7, 8 minus 4 is 4, and that's still higher than 2. So I use 5 days to get that. As you get to within 50 leagues of the Channel of Goth, your lookout spies an island which is not indicated on any of your charts. Interesting. Will you land on this island, or continue towards the Channel of Goth, or head west to pass south of Trista on your way to the Rock? Okay, so we have 38 island. For Goth. 257 west. I'm going to go on the island, of course. The one that's not on the map. The island is like an enormous smooth granite boulder with neither beaches nor foliage. Lowering the ship's boat, you go ashore with a few crew. Test your luck. I roll 5. I am lucky. Let's see. So that is test luck. Now my map is starting to look convoluted again, which was what I was intending not to. Yeah, what can you do? I think it's more fun, really, when they look convoluted and messy anyway. Yeah, that's what I want to keep telling myself. 120, so unlucky. So I was lucky and I go to 133. I'll probably find something interesting now, or useful. Yeah, or not. So maybe it's if you're unlucky, that's when you find something that's less than useful, even dangerous. You wander around the island, completely circumnavigating it within a couple of hours, not finding anything of any interest. You head back to the Banshee. So, I then can sail south or west. Okay, so I'm going to sail towards Goth then. So 4. Add 1 day to your log. Day 27. When you reach the narrowest point of the Channel of Goth, an extended line of warships appears on the horizon in your direction of travel. As you approach closer, you see that there are several hundred war galleys with the markings of Shuropak heading through the channel in battle formation. They stretch from the shores of the Isle of Volcanoes almost to the shores of the eastern rim. Turning back north to avoid conflict with this large force, you run into another long line of war galleys, this time from Marad. You realize that the two city-states must be at war with each other, and that you have quite inadvertently been caught in the middle of what is about to be an enormous naval battle. Both forces are roughly equal in size, but the Marad galleys, reputed to have 5 men on every oar, are by far the larger vessels. Will you head for safety by trying to break through the Marad lines or the Shuropak lines? Tricky one. Tricky. Let's see. Okay, so Marad and Shuropak. I'll give it a think. After some more water. I'll go with Marad. 43. Giving full sail to the Banshee and putting every man armed and ready on deck, you head at full speed towards the line of Marad galleys, aiming between the dipping oars of 2 ships. As your boat hurtles through this gap, one of the galleys fires its ballista grapples, catching the Banshee by the gunwale. It drags you in like a harpooned whale. The crew will have to fight. Okay. This might be the end. 812. 208. Okay, so I've got 2 crew strength left because I've never got a chance to replenish my crew, and yeah, I'm fighting an 812. So I've got a 4-point advantage, so this could still work, but I'll have to be very lucky. So let's see. Yeah. That's not a good start, is it? They roll 12, I roll 6, and that's the end of that. Well, why not do it quickly and swiftly and rapidly and immediately right away? Okay. So, that is my crew down to crew strength down to 0, which means that me and the crew have both met our demise, and a watery and bloody grave apparently as well. So that's the end of the tale so far, and I'm actually really enjoying this. There's something about, because the setting is a little bit different, because your aim is a little bit different, there's a completely different dynamic in how the story unfolds. When you're told that a certain number of days pass, you sort of feel that, ooh, I have to hurry a bit now and make more money. Quite like that. It's I like that it's different. And I can see why. I know some people really enjoy this one and even listed as their favorite as well. So I'll be interested to see what happens next time. So I wouldn't say it was a very successful playthrough this time, but at least I know some things that I shouldn't do probably, and a few things I should do if I get there again. And I'll probably try a different beginning next time. And it depends a little bit about my abilities as well. I was quite lucky with the crew strike and the skill and my luck, I guess. But crew strike seems to be very crucial. I mean, certainly the battles I've been in so far, it's been the only thing that really mattered. So yeah. Anyway, I'll be looking forward to playing it again, and for all of you who watched this now, thanks for watching, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you next time as well as I play The Seas of Blood for a second time. So thanks for watching, and please, all those, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, join me on Patreon, blah 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 blah, etc. Okay, so that done, and thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.